In the last two videos, we went over the ins and outs of what's really going on when you use permanent hair dyes on your hair. If you want to see exactly what permanent hair dyes are really doing to your hair, pause this video and watch the last two videos. Here are the links. There's two types of permanent hair dyes in the market. There's oxidative hair dyes, which many of us are familiar with. These are the hair dyes people often use to achieve more permanent and extreme results, like blonde, blue, or pink hair. And there's progressive hair dyes, which has more of a gradual effect, so you would have to use it over and over again for the color to build up on your hair strands. It can't lighten your hair color, so it's most likely used to cover grays. In this video, we're going to move on to talk about how demi and semi-permanent hair dyes work. Demi-permanent and semi-permanent hair dyes are often described as being very similar, but they have some differences that I think are important for you to know. Demi hair dyes are pretty similar to permanent oxidative hair dyes. How? Well, they both have hydrogen peroxide. They're both also alkaline enough to lift your hair cuticles. Permanent oxidative hair dyes use ammonia as an alkaline agent, and demi hair dyes use ethylonamine or sodium carbonate. In fact, the main difference between them is that demi hair dyes has a lower concentration of hydrogen peroxide, so it won't bleach your natural hair color. And demi hair dyes may not be as alkaline as permanent oxidative hair dyes, so it won't penetrate as deep. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but overall, it's just as potentially toxic and also contains carcinogens like phenylenediamine or PPD, so use with caution. The semi hair dye has larger color molecules than the demi hair dye, so it's less permanent. It's alkaline enough to slightly lift your hair cuticles to allow the color molecules to only partially penetrate your hair shaft. When the chemicals in the semi hair dye comes into contact with the air, it oxidizes and darkens. And since the color molecules are too big to completely penetrate the cuticles, the color deposits will typically wash out after 5 to 6 washes. The demi hair dye lasts longer than the semi hair dye because the color molecules are smaller. The small size of the color molecules makes it easier for them to squeeze in and penetrate more. Demi hair dyes also last longer because they're alkaline. They're alkaline enough to slowly burn and lift your cuticles open, so the already small color molecules can penetrate even deeper into your hair strand. Depending on your hair's original porosity level, demi hair dyes will usually last about 24 to 28 washes. These hair dyes are frequently referred to as deposit-only dyes to suggest a certain level of safety. This can be a bit deceiving. Just because it's not removing or bleaching your natural hair color does not mean it does not have the potential of causing some serious damage. So whichever one you choose, make sure it's done carefully, preferably by a professional, and refrain from using any of these things if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Just a quick reminder before I go. Have you ever wondered why you're always told not to color relaxed hair? Well, here's why. Relaxers contain sodium hydroxide, and many hair dyes, especially permanent oxidative hair dyes and some demi hair dyes, contain ammonia hydroxide. Mix them both together and a highly corrosive chemical reaction happens. As the solvent dissolves the solute, no need to fully understand what that means, but over time, this will eat away at your hair strands. Just because you can't see this reaction on your hair does not mean it does not happen on the micro level. Each application strips away the protein your hair is made of, little by little until it's completely dissolved. But most likely it'll become too thin and break off before that happens. Hey guys! So now that you have a clear idea of what's really going on, if you plan on using these kind of chemicals in your hair, take proper precautions so you can at least slow down this process. Here are some suggestions to keep in mind if you plan on using chemical hair dyes or relaxers. This could be a big issue with chemical treatments because most of the time, the area where you want treated are the roots. And unfortunately, your scalp provides these toxic ingredients with easy access to your body. Also, before any chemical process, strengthen your hair strands by doing a real protein treatment that has a structure small enough to penetrate and fully coat and protect your hair against a lot of this chemical burn. Here's a link to where you can find the real protein treatment. A rule of thumb: the lower the processing time, the less damaging. Lastly, in between chemical applications, pamper your hair by performing quality treatments and weekly scalp massages. Also, handle your hair delicately and take advantage of protective styles. Here are some links to some protective styles I often use. I hope this was helpful. As always, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.